Hello, I missed you. Welcome to Florida without the AC on. I'm in my car and there's no AC and I'm not miserable. And it's October. I don't usually expect to feel not miserable in Florida till about November, late November. So I don't know, this feels earlier than I was expecting. It can change any day, but I am so happy. It feels so nice. It is Friday. I'm back from England. If you've been following along, the trip was life-changing. Honestly, I have so much to say. I could talk to you for 3 hours, but you might get bored because I would just be telling you about my trip like an old-timey slideshow. And I just don't know how interesting that would be for you. And also, to be honest, I'm still processing it. It was literally a trip of a lifetime is how I've been describing it, a dream trip. But you will hear more about it as I process it, because something that happened on the trip is I started writing again. My dog died of cancer in June. If you've been following along, you know that. And part of why I was vlogging is I just felt like I needed some sort of creative outlet, and writing was not really coming. And I wrote actually a lot of poems when he got cancer and through that process, but then as soon as he died, it was like the poet got suffocated, is how it felt. But I knew I needed to still process creatively in some way, and so I was like, well, I'll try vlogging, and that's been great. But what was really special is in England, the poet came back, and that's why I didn't vlog in England, because I did have this kind of sense that, I think the phrase that came to me, and I don't know if I got this from somewhere else, but I just kept thinking, I need to go on this trip and I need to feed the poet. The poet is starved in me, and the poet is suffocated, and I just need to feed the poet. And I know to do that, I need to get really quiet. I need to really listen to my own voice and just really immerse myself in an environment without anything else. So I deleted apps off my phone and just tried to really be present on this trip, and it worked. And I wasn't putting pressure. It wasn't like, this trip needs to get me writing again. This trip was just about joy. But I thought that would be a nice bonus to kind of feed the poet. I wasn't expecting to write on the trip. I just wanted to start that process of just rejuvenation after so much grief and heartbreak that's still continuing. But it worked. And a couple nights before our last night, I wrote a poem. And I'll read that to you at the end of this vlog, and I read it out loud at the end of the trip. So this trip I went on, it was with the Enchanted book club, which was founded by my dear friend Haley. So I'll definitely link that down below. She has this incredible book club of incredible women where they read literary classics as well as modern books every month. And then she also puts on these dream literary trips that are fabulous if you love books, if you love writing, if you love women writers, and I really think if you are a writer. Her trips, I've been on 2 of them now. As a writer, I've been so deeply inspired because those trips, not only are they in beautiful environments that I think just feed the poet, probably because a lot of these trips tend to go to places where you actually visit the houses of women writers. So I visited a house of Louisa May Alcott in Concord last year, and this year two of the highlights was visiting Beatrix Potter's house, as well as visiting the house of James Herriot. James Herriot wrote nonfiction books. The most well-known is All Creatures Great and Small. There's a PBS show out about him now. I didn't really know anything about him before this trip, but I started looking things up about the trip beforehand, and he inspired me so much because he was a nonfiction writer. He wrote about real people. That's what I do. So getting to also see where he wrote and worked, he was a full-time vet while he was a writer. And Haley surprised us when we visited James Herriot's house. His son was there, and his son spoke to us, and his son was so sweet, and he loved his father. He said, it's been 30 years since he died, and I still miss him. He became a vet too, and he wrote a biography about his dad that we all bought, and he signed. And when he was signing my book, I asked him about his dogs, because I had read his dad's book called Dog Stories, where he talked about his dogs throughout his life, and I asked his son, Jim, if he had dogs throughout his life and how he felt about dogs, and he said, oh yes, always, always. And I said, how long did you usually wait to get another dog after your dog died? And he said, as soon as I could. And he said, I always told people, because he was a vet, so he'd been with people during that terrible, terrible time when you have to say goodbye. And he said people always cry and be like, oh, you know, Pongo, I could never replace Pongo, is kind of how he mimicked it to me. And he was like, but I tell them, he said, no, he said, that dog was for that part of your life, and you will have a new dog who will be for the next part of your life. And dogs just walk with us through these different parts of our life, is sort of how he described it. And so you can imagine that meant a lot to me. By the end of this trip, I bought a little dog collar with a bow on it and a little toy for my future dog. So I do hope to get another dog. I'm waiting because we're planning a move next year. So I want to wait till we move and settled in, and I want to put a dog through that. So once we've moved, once we've settled in, then we're very much hoping to get a new dog. And so that was really special to kind of just make that dream feel real, get my potential new dog something from England. And it was so nice to buy something dog related that was about hope instead of sadness. When I got back from England, I took a day off work after the trip, which was wonderful. I need to do that all the time because I just need time to settle back in, get my groceries in order, unpack. It was so great. And I ended up cleaning out the whole kitchen. And because of the trip and the rejuvenation, I finally had strength to like clean out Stanley's drawers. I hadn't been able to do that yet. And so there was one drawer of all his medicine from his cancer and all of his monthly medicines he'd had for his whole life. And then his food, and the food drawer absolutely wrecked me because there were all of these like full bags of food, which I'm going to donate, of course, but there was like full bags of unopened food, cans of unopened food, and all different kinds, and it just reminded me of that time when he wasn't eating and we were trying everything. And I felt this, I was on the kitchen floor and I just hugged this unopened bag of food and had one of the biggest breakdowns I've had in the last few months, because that unopened bag of food, it symbolized all the hope that we had up until the last moment. I just believed and hoped that he would need that food and that he would be with us for so much longer than he was. But also all of the different food and all of the medicine, well, I was also just so heartbroken that he's not here and that he's not still here and that we didn't get more time. I also felt really proud of just how we faced it and how well we took care of him. I just felt like, wow, I fed him, I gave him medicine, not only during this really difficult time, but through his whole life. And I don't feel proud of myself often. That's something I'm working on. But it was one of those really nice moments where I felt really proud of how we took care of him throughout his whole life, and up until the very end, just did everything we could do. So there was still little grief moments throughout the trip and a big, big breakdown when I got home. It's just still hard to be here. I think it's one of the reasons we are wanting to move, among others, but it was nice to be somewhere beautiful and still processing that grief. But the poetry came back. Whoops. I put my like thing that blocks out the sun up here, just, I don't know, because it was really sunny right there and it's just less of like the apartments you can see. So anyway, so in addition to writing a poem, which I'll read again at the end, I also got the idea for my next book and I started writing it, and I wrote the titles and the ideas for like possibly the next 6 books. So I got so inspired on this trip, way more than I was expecting. So my next book is going to be a poetry collection about this trip and about the idea of how when I booked this trip a year and a half ago, I had no idea how much I would need it during what has been so far the hardest season of my life. To give you an example, the book starts out right now, and I'm sure this will change because this is just like that rough, ugly first draft. But I actually have memorized the beginning because it has stayed with me, because I think it's just so true. I think this will be one of the most personal things I've ever written. But the intro right now of the book is, I didn't see it coming. I didn't know when I booked this trip a year and a half ago that I would need it to save me from grief, from burnout, from cutting a bob. So that gives you a little idea of the flavor, but it's also going to really hone in on the actual trip and the things that woke up the poet and helped me find that art again and that joy again, even after enduring a season of pretty intense grief that I frankly just have never experienced before and did not see coming. So the book is right now called How to Hug a Sheep, Poems from England. So I am just so excited about it. It feels so good to write again. So will I be still weekly vlogging? I will still be vlogging because my tiny experiment commitment was 20 videos. I don't know about the whole weekly thing. I think that was me still being that overachiever, being like, you gotta do it consistent, because that is one of the best practices and it's a good one. However, that's not what I'm doing this for. Do any of you have this issue where like you're just such an overachiever that even when you try to do something in a chill way, you just like, your brain won't let you? So the good news is I am writing again and I'm so excited about that. And so I'm also trying to depressurize this as well continually, because that was the goal. The goal is just 20 videos to have some fun and have an outlet that I could do while I'm not writing, but also I'm writing. But it's kind of cool because it's also an outlet where I can keep you up with my writing for now, which is fabulous. So I cannot wait to tell you more about this book. Something that's really exciting as well that I'm really excited about is I'm starting a publishing company for this book. So for the first time ever, I want to indie publish. My publishing company is called Blue Butterfly Stories. I drew the logo myself and of course then ran it through a graphic designer to make it look, you know, good. But the design is mine and I'm really proud of it. And my goal for this book, you know, my last book, it took me 10 years. I also did a hybrid publishing model, and so I learned a lot through that, and I want to try this time to see what I can do when I do it all myself. I have so many friends who indie publish and they just seem like they have so much fun, and I love to control things. So the idea of like actually having it all to myself and controlling it myself and just really keeping it also really special and really personal without anything else involved, I think that's what I need right now for this book. So I am so excited about the process of figuring out like how to get it out there as quickly as possible. Now first, I just have to write it. So that's what I'm focused on right now. And then once I've written it, I'm going to dive into the actual process of making it available online wherever books are sold, as well as getting the print copies developed. So I'm like really looking forward to that process actually, because I just feel a lot of freedom in it, and it's giving me a lot of freedom in my writing to really say what I want to say and enjoy the process and kind of not worry about anything else. So I will definitely take you along my first indie publishing journey in case you're a writer or ever wanted to get a book out there. I will share that process with you, and if you have any questions, let me know. I don't know anything now, but I will and I'll be sure to bring that up as I go. But I'm just really excited for how it's making me feel. And I think whenever it comes time for those artistic decisions, when it comes to like what kind of publishing path or what kind of platform you want to go on, and or what kind of cadence, I think you kind of know you're onto something when the choice that you're leaning towards, the path, is actually fueling the inspiration and the craft, I think. And that will be different too for different seasons of your life. And that's been true for me. And so right now, this pathway of publishing is the one that's fueling me most, exciting me most, and making me feel like I have the most permission I've ever had to like really write what I want and not worry about anything else. And so I'm having such a great time and I can't wait to share that with you. But anyway, you know, it's still Florida, so I'm getting a little warm. I'm not miserable though, but it's time to turn the AC on. It's time to go. I am taking you out to lunch with me. It's Friday, and at work we are celebrating a big project that just got completed, and so they gave us all $25 gift cards to get some special food. And so I'm going to Ryan's Ocean Room, which I just tried like right before England, and it is literally, I mean, when I had it, I was like, this is one of my favorite bites in Florida. And I shouldn't be surprised. It is created by the same chef who created Domu, among other things. And there's just this incredible food scene in Orlando with just so many incredible creatives have put their heart and soul into, and you can feel that. I just love local food and local places like this. And this one blew me away. If I lived closer, I would eat it like every day. So as soon as we got that gift card, I was like, well, I'm going back there. I mean, I would have gone back there anyway because I'm obsessed with it. So I will show you Ryan's Ocean Room food, and I'm going to enjoy that and then get back to work. Okay, let's go eat. Well, that was so good. That just made my day. I love a good lunch. I don't know, that's probably just such a lame thing to say. But I really love lunch. I really do. I really need like a good meal in the middle of the day. It kind of helps rev me back up to finish out the workday. So, and I love East End Market. It's just so cute, and there's always just, I don't know, a lot of life happening. There was someone sitting in front of me with like a giant gray dog that was so beautiful. And as I left, there was an older woman holding a baby that looked like it was born a couple days ago. It was so tiny. So that's just nice. Really simple things, but you know, that's how you know you've been working remotely from your house a little too long. I don't think I went anywhere this week. This was my first full week back, and I was just not feeling great. So it felt so good to get out today, and thank you for coming with me. It was delicious. So now I gotta go back home and get back to work, but as promised, I will read you the poem that I wrote in England and that I read on our last dinner. All right, it is called 11. Are you the youngest one in the book club? The tour guide asked me kindly, thinking I was in my 20s. I'm not sure, I say. I'm older than I look, though. I'm 38. He laughs, realizing his mistake. But what I should have said is, actually, we're all the same age here, 11 years old. We're on this trip because when someone asks that girl if she can come out to play, she says yes. So while back home she has to feed her cats and her children, sign paperwork for her father, bring her husband toast after surgery. Here, she's 11 again, wowing over bunnies in blue coats, chickens she feeds from her hands, hidden purple flowers behind walls, sheep, so many sheep. The storm flips umbrellas, but she just laughs. Walking over cracks in the floor from when the ceiling fell from the fire, she clinks teacups at pretend tea parties, except they're not pretend. Here, she is real. She remembers. The dollhouse her parents made for her at Christmas time. The way her mom and her used to browse the Florida bookstore for hours. The afflictions of a sister lost too soon. Here, they remember gone women who left something they're still trying not to lose. So they remember what they miss and try not to miss the woman the 11-year-old girl once dreamed she could be.